So it's finally been confirmed. After news broke late last night, I was sceptical. I'll hold my hands up, I didn't believe the rumours. Though there were plenty of credible sources reporting, it wasn't until this morning, only half an hour ago of the time of recording, it's been confirmed that Sebastian Vettel, the 4-time Formula 1 world champion, will leave Ferrari at the end of the 2020 season. I am a bit stunned. I really am. I did not see this coming, and I think the majority of the Formula 1 world are shocked. In today's video, I quickly want to go over a few of the team statements, try and unravel why this decision has been made, because of what we can tell so far, it's a little vague at the moment, and I'll have a little chat about who potentially could be coming in to replace Sebastian Vettel, but I've done a full feature-length 20-minute video talking about that specific topic on its own, so I will link that as well, but we'll have a little chat, don't you worry. But I want to start with a quick little extract from Mattia Binotto, the team principal managing director at Ferrari, and then I want to really look at Sebastian's statement himself, because I think that's the more interesting one of the two. This is a decision taken jointly by ourselves and Sebastian, one which both parties feels is for the best. It was not an easy decision to reach, given Sebastian's worth as a driver and as a person. There was no specific reason that led to this decision apart from the common and amicable belief that the time had come to separate ways in order to reach our respective objectives. Sebastian is already part of the Scuderia's history, with his 14 Grand Prix wins making him the third most successful driver for the team, while he is also one who has scored the most points with us. In our 5 years together, he has finished the top 3 of the Drivers' Championship 3 times, making a significant contribution to the team's constant presence in the top 3 of the Constructors' classification. On our behalf, for everyone at Ferrari, I want to thank Sebastian for great professionalism and human qualities he has displayed over these 5 years, during which we shared so many great memories. We have not yet managed to win a world title together, which would be a 5th for him, but we believe that we can still get a lot out of him in the unusual 2020 season. No real surprises there in Mattia's statement. A quick thank you and overview of Seb's time at Ferrari, but it's Sebastian's own statement which I find a little bit more intriguing on how this situation has developed. My relationship with Scuderia Ferrari will finish at the end of 2020. In order to get the best possible results in this sport, it is vital for all parties to work together in perfect harmony. Interesting starting statement there. The team and I have realised that there is no longer a common desire to stay together beyond the end of the season. Financial matters have played no part in this joint decision. That is not the way I think when it comes to making certain choices, and it never will be. What's been happening in these past few months has led many of us to reflect on what are our real priorities in life. One needs to use one's imagination and to adopt to a new approach to a situation that has changed. I myself will take the time I need to reflect on what really matters when it comes to my future. Scuderia Ferrari occupies a special place in Formula 1, and I hope it gets all the success it deserves. Finally, I want to thank the whole Ferrari family, and above all, its tifosi all around the world, for the support they have given me over the years. My immediate goal is to finish my long stint with Ferrari in the hope of sharing some more beautiful moments together to add to all of those we have enjoyed so far. And don't worry, that's the final statement I will be reading out today. But what a huge shock this is. And I think over the past few months, when we've heard rumours and discussions about talks going on with Vettel and Ferrari about a new contract, I think a lot of us, like we usually do in Formula 1, just expect it to smoothly go through. Or I would personally feel that it's more commonplace, I guess, for drivers to announce their own retirement at the end of the season. So doing it before a season has even started, yes, it's very unprecedented times at the moment, but doing it before a season starts is so unusual. And how bizarre would it be if Vettel has a brilliant 2020 and then leaves at the end of the year? There's no denying that 2019 was a subpar season for Sebastian Vettel, a little bit meh, you could say. He finished 23 points behind Charles Leclerc, and I think while on the surface it looked like Leclerc was the stronger of the two, very quickly with Sebastian's season, all you need to do is take away that retirement in Russia and that flips straight back around. So I don't think it was quite as dominant as people think it possibly was with Leclerc and Vettel over the 2019 season. Before that, Sebastian was Ferrari's clear number one, and I really hope Ferrari haven't overlooked what he gave to the team. Though they mentioned it in both Seb and Mattia's press conferences and statements, I really hope they've not overlooked all that he's given to this team and brought back to this team. Don't forget, when he joined Ferrari in 2015, they were going for a really rough time. Bringing back Raikkonen they thought might help in 2014, it didn't. They went the whole of 2014 without a win. It was so difficult. Alonso left, Vettel came in, and for several years not only did he stabilise the ship, but he also got them fighting for titles again in 2017 and 2018. And his reputation of becoming a bit of a spinning boy, yes, that's starting to get a little bit out of hand, but I certainly think he's a driver capable of still winning titles, and if he can just sort out those tiny little mistakes, I don't see why he still can't lead Ferrari. And actually, in my own personal feelings about this situation, I feel this is coming more from Sebastian himself than the team. I spoke about it in our transfer talk. Sebastian right now at the time in his career would make a perfect number 2 driver and a perfect driver for Charles Leclerc to learn off of, for Leclerc to keep proving himself up against. So, looking at Seb's statement, it reminds me so much of when Nico Rosberg retires. And it's important to say, Vettel is not retiring here. He's not made any announcement that he's going to retire. But I do think that the whole COVID-19 situation is going to make a lot of drivers think. And actually, I spoke about it the other day, I thought it would have the reverse effect to what's happened here with Sebastian. I thought for drivers like Hamilton, even like Raikkonen, this little bit of time off would make them see what life is like without racing and perhaps encourage them to stay a bit longer. But it seems with Seb, it's almost had the opposite effect and is maybe encouraging him, possibly, to retire. But definitely, I think, like Kimi Raikkonen a few years ago, is definitely making him consider moving to a team in a less pressurised environment. Which is, again, a bit of a shame because I really do feel he's a driver capable of still producing great results and great titles in Formula 1. But then the next question is, where does he go if he stays in Formula 1? It wouldn't surprise me too much if he had a sabbatical for a couple of years, like his hero Michael Schumacher did, maybe take a couple of seasons out, 2, 3, maybe even 4 and return. That wouldn't surprise me too much. It also wouldn't surprise me if there had been some kind of project somewhere, I'm more talking about Aston Martin, that maybe have offered him a long-term deal, a real build the team up from the ground deal that he's interested to rounding off his career with. Could be interesting. A Mercedes could be an option, but again, I don't really see Lewis Hamilton going anywhere. And the most likely option being rumoured online at the moment is McLaren. And even that, I personally find to not be a sensible decision on McLaren's part. Again, yes, I think Vettel's a driver capable of doing great things in F1, but there's a brilliant relationship between Norris and Sainz, the best driver pairing on the grid in terms of interpersonal relationship within a team. Yes, Sainz is being rumoured to go to Ferrari, and there is a lot of stories suggesting that it's a straight swap between the two, and I suppose, yeah, that would make sense if he was going to go to McLaren, but apart from that, I don't see McLaren willing to let one of their drivers go and bring in a Sebastian Vettel. I think a team like Haas could be an interesting one. It's certainly a step backwards, certainly a step into the midfield, but it's a team where Seb, if he knows the team has future, which again, that's still a little bit uncertain, it's exactly what the team need, a driver with plenty of pedigree, race victory knowledge, and a driver who could really propel them to the front of the midfield, and for the past couple of years, they've been going backwards slowly. Do I think that's realistic? No. But did I think Seb was going to leave Ferrari? Also no. So going into 2021, whereas a lot of us thought the drivers would mostly stay in the same place, it's now looking like the transfer crazy silly season is going to be even more bizarre than we thought. We'll have a quick talk about who's going to replace him, because again, when there's ever talk of Vettel leaving Ferrari, there's plenty of names in the hat. But now it's confirmed, my goodness, the rumours are going to be all over the place. It's going to be crazy, boys and girls, over the next few weeks. And again, in the top right hand corner, if I remember, I'll try and remember, I will link straight away, it should be popping up right now, I'll link straight away to the whole 20-minute video talking about who should replace Vettel. Just bear in mind, I didn't know he was actually leaving at the end of 2020, but my gut feeling, and again, spoilers for that video if you're planning on watching it, I feel Ricciardo is a great option. He's got plenty of race wins in his Formula 1 history, 7 so far. He's a driver I feel deserves to be at the top. He's also a driver that you know isn't going to cause upsets within a team. He's coming to a team to give it all, give his best, but also get along with his teammate, work together, and that's something really unique Ricciardo brings to the table. And the project at Renault, I've often said, yes, you could argue he ran away from Verstappen. Yes, you could argue he didn't believe in that Honda project. But I have always said that having a 2-year deal for Ricciardo at Renault lines him up perfectly with Vettel's contract retiring, lines up perfectly with Bottas and Hamilton's contracts expiring. And by moving to Renault, it's much easier for Ricciardo to move to a team like Ferrari. And for Ricciardo, whereas a couple of months ago, it looked like that move to Renault was doom and gloom. He was never going to be able to get out. He was never going to be able to move back to a top team. Now was his chance. And I bet today his managers are going to be very, very busy looking for a Ferrari drive in 2021. I also think an option that hasn't been talked about a lot, but I think would be a very sensible move for Ferrari, is Valtteri Pottas. Another driver who's out of contract at the end of the year, and a driver who, although at the moment is very comfortable at Mercedes, he's getting wins, finished second, his best ever season in Formula 1 last year. Very quickly, if he's not careful, Russell could be in, he could be out, Hamilton could still be there for another 5 years alongside George Russell, and Bottas could find himself in that midfield. But he's a driver who very much is happy playing the number 2 role, but is still capable of winning Grand Prix. And if Ferrari can recognise Bottas is out of contract, that would also speed rush Russell through to a top team, which would also be fantastic to see. And I think that's a win-win pretty much for all parties involved. But it's just whether Ferrari are comfortable letting Leclerc be that number 1 so early on in his career. I think he's proved he's got the ability to do so, but there were still mistakes from Charles last season, and it's whether they want to take the gamble on a driver like Bottas or a gamble on Ricciardo. I've also seen lots of sources saying Carlos Sainz. Again, it's not a bad shout. He's a driver who I've often said is criminally underrated, and finally in 2019 he was able to show his true ability, his true colours on the track. A first podium in Brazil, 6th overall in the standings. Ferrari would be silly to overlook him, but again, I think he's got a really good thing at McLaren there. He is their number 1, and yeah, there is potential that Lando Norris could overtake him at the end of 2020 or 2021, but currently he's in a team that are moulding themselves around him. And I've always said this with Max Verstappen, he'd be silly to move away to a project where he would be a number 2 or in direct competition with the other driver. Whereas if he stays at McLaren, potentially he can clearly become that number 1 and lead a great Formula 1 team forward, especially through a big regulation change like 2022 is going to be. So it'd be a big risk for Sainz. But then this is Ferrari we're talking about. The pull of Ferrari is always so much. And I would say that is your 3 main candidates. Bottas I don't see being talked as much as Sainz or Ricciardo. But again, I think it's one that just lines up so perfectly with the future of Russell. And one that Ferrari could take real advantage of if they play their cards right. But at the moment, we just really don't know. It could still be Hülkenberg, and hey, I might as well say it because we're going to see the rumours at some point. Maybe even Alonso. Ugh. I can't believe I've gone there. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is a huge bombshell in the world of Formula 1. I didn't expect this, and going to bed last night, I was not in the right mind frame to hear that news. Gutted for Sebastian if this is not on his terms, but if it is, I'm great that this situation, while it's been so negative for so many people, it's given Seb a bit of clarity going forward. But I still would love to see him in Formula 1, and I'd love to see him bounce back from his difficult 2019. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you are new, I always cover news as quickly as possible on this channel regarding Formula 1, so feel free to subscribe. For regular viewers, the content that was supposed to come out this week is going to have to now be delayed a couple of days. We'll push it back a little bit. Keep your eye on the community post for that. Thanks guys for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.